I'm a little confused with testosterone, estrogen, progesterone. Like, I don't have a uterus anymore. So my first question is, so is that to say I don't need progesterone because
No.
I don't?
You can still use progesterone.
Okay, so I still need it, right?
Well, the
Not
need is different than is it something that you or is appropriate for you and your symptoms. That's completely
Okay.
different.
So I'm on
Yeah.
hormone therapy now. The first session of it, um, I gained 12 pounds in like 2 months. Um, I don't know if it was the testosterone. I am not a very masculine type energy person. I'm very calm, cool, tap into my feminine energy. But I became very, very aggressive and very assertive. Assertive, not so bad, but aggressive. Is that because I had too much testosterone? Like maybe the dose was too.
And
Could be.
possibly.
It could also, the thing is that's important though, is anytime you're starting a new hormone treatment, it's going to take your body some time to acclimate and adjust because you're making this huge change in that environment in your body. And it takes some time to adjust. And so you can have some mood changes, especially in the beginning. And if you kind of push through and kind of see if your body gets used to it, things get better with most patients. But if not, it could have been the testosterone dose may have been too high.
Okay.
Or testosterone may not be right for you.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
it may not be. Okay.
Or the other
Well,
thing.
he said that I didn't have any testosterone, so he's like, "Oh, you need testosterone because you don't have any testosterone." So,
Yes, that I would like to address.
okay.
And I'm going to get all excited. So, and we see this a lot. And we see patients coming in like, I have no libido, give me testosterone. Here's the thing. We actually have to take a step back. And I'm going to give you some little science education here and look at how the hormones are processed in the body. And actually, I'm going to take really a step back. Cholesterol is our parent hormone. And people like to vilify cholesterol. Cholesterol is not the problem, inflammation is. So in a nice, relaxed state, we should be making our hormones coming down into progesterone, testosterone, estrogen, and all the hormones are being made. Great. When you're stressed, those hormones come down and they make a hard left turn and they go down cortisol street. And we make cortisol, which has a tendency, if it's elevated for too long, cortisol in small little bursts is great. That's what got us away from the tiger when we were out trying to
That fight or flight.
fight or flight.
Very
So in small bursts, it's great, but when it's elevated from chronic stress, because life gets lifey, things that we're eating, relationship stress, not enough hydration, bad food choices, whatever the stressor is in our life, all our hormones are going to be made into cortisol. So my question becomes with some people is, why is their testosterone low? Is it because they need testosterone, or are they back converting some of their hormones into cortisol? Because sex hormones and stress can't coexist. Sex and stress can't coexist. So that's where it's very, like Robert said here, is really important, looking at that whole person from a body, mind, spirit standpoint and figure out where are the imbalances and where are the
One more
stressors.
question.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah, and we sometimes, unfortunately, we'll see with some of the chronic pain conditions too, where that spasm of that pelvic muscle can aggravate and cause more pain conditions.
Yeah, that's what I feel like when I've tried to do that exercise because, I've heard that you do that to strengthen. So I'm thinking I'm doing something right. But then I noticed that I end up getting in an episode after that is when I'm doing. So is that the reason why?
Yeah, and some people it's more of a relaxation than they need than a tightening. The other thing, this is where pelvic physical therapists come in handy because they are people that can work with you. And I think actually all women should go for pelvic physical therapy.
To evaluate if it's too loose,
Yes.
if it's too tight, and how that impacts. It can really even impact and cause hip pain, back pain. Sometimes we're evaluating with ultrasound or laparoscopy for pelvic pain when it turns out just to be high tone. Like even the obturator internus, right? Those muscles that are inside of the hip and connects up to our abs and our back and our quads. And even if we sit a lot, our hips kind of rotate in and our hips get tight. So even just having a practice of hip openers every night before bed and making sure. I mean, how have you incorporated hip openers in your practice at all?
I don't even know what a opener is, but I'm guessing by the words. Kegel is something that my OBG is like, do not stop doing this. And it's funny because I've noticed that when I go see him, he's like, you're turning blue in the face right now from pushing because you're not doing a Kegel exercise. You're like, your whole body. But I've noticed it becomes more difficult for me after a while to sort of like separate these muscles, and be in command of my muscles in that area where before I think it was something that came more natural, or I don't even know what that is.
Another fun thing is because some people just don't know where those muscles are. Some people push instead of lift and tighten. There are so many different devices that are out on the market where you can get the feedback that you know that you're doing it right. Anywhere from one where you put it in the vagina and it has a little device that lights up and tells you that you're doing it right, to actually apps that you use on your phone they've gamified these Kegel exercises so you can actually play games and be tightening those muscles. And then sometimes we see not only with these from a muscle standpoint, but having a weak pelvic floor can lead to things like prolapse. And I joke around with prolapse is like, my vagina is dropped and it can't get up. So we can have things where they're drooping or dropping, or have problems with incontinence, difficulty holding in urine, or even difficulty holding in stool. These all go hand in hand with pelvic floor conditions.
So what happens with someone that has pudendal neuralgia? What is a good exercise for that, since the Kegels may not be the best?
Yeah, so sometimes actually working with the pelvic physical therapist to find exactly the right exercise for you, and sometimes they'll do something called biofeedback, where they can teach you to relax those muscles.
Not only am I a cancer survivor, I was just diagnosed in December with a rare skin cancer. Not to mention, having a hysterectomy is what brought all this menopause stuff on. They nicked my nerve, and I ended up with something rare called pudendal neuralgia. So it's interesting, when your hormones are off balance, then I go into an episode of pudendal neuralgia. My hormones unbalanced, my skin, and where the cancer is on my vulva, goes into just a very irritating, burning, just unbearable pain. So it's not like I'm just dealing with one thing. I'm dealing with 3 different things that seem like they're trying to destroy my happiness. So it's very difficult. I think I could probably deal with one, but having all 3 things is very difficult. And knowing that connects to the hormones, it's like they go, oh, you gotta be calm, we gotta get your hormones in alignment. But how long is that gonna take?
I think that we're just scratching the surface. I think it's a great place for us all to start the conversation, but it's definitely not the end of the conversation. But it gives people a jumping off point and some place where they can further the conversation and actually look into it more. So I think this is going to be the start of something really amazing, not just for the guests here, but for the people that watch this. And I'm really excited that we had Robert here to get that male point of view and even to include men in this conversation.